Assalamualaikum everyone. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but thank you so much for being here on our first day of Missed Weekend. We're gonna end our day with the spoken word competitions. Our first submission is from Noble Leadership Academy. The audio is a little quiet, so just please make sure you have your volume up so you can hear it.
The title of my poem is Speak Your Truth. I look in the mirror and I see glassy, staring back at me. My mouth distorts into a cruel grin. No, this is not me. Not me. My mother's arms around me, her fingers running through my hair. And I pull away because it doesn't feel comforting at all. When did I stop feeling? But you don't want to hear about my problems. You want to hear me discuss the murder of George Floyd, or the COVID-19 pandemic, or classism, or racism. Because those things can be quantified, understood, explained. Because people like that. People like explanations. The data sets, the carefully curated opinions, tangible things, provable things. But rationality does not take emotion into consideration. Be honest. Right now, reopening schools is not the issue. It's the students' mental health. And the years of learning they lost. Be honest. Schoolwork wasn't the reason. It was the people around you who made you feel lesser than. Because you were different, or smarter, or had different interests. Be honest. The workload wasn't the reason you hated school. It was the expectations, the gifted kid burnout, the compulsion to push yourself. Faster, higher, harder, until you broke. Be honest. It's not your house that makes you feel stifled. It's the people you live with and their ideals and rules and opinions that trapped you. Be honest. You're not tired. You're not lazy. They wanted too much from you. They put too much faith in you. They pushed you, and now you're realizing you can't do it all. Be honest. It's not that you're biracial. It's having to pick one over the other because you don't fit. Because you don't look or talk how you're supposed to. Be honest. It's not your mental illness. It's the fact that no one believed you until it was too late. Because you're too young. Being dramatic. Online too much. Be honest. It's not your gender. It's how too many people make you feel inadequate because of how you look. Your pronouns, or how you dress differently than what they're used to. Be honest. It's not the objects, the four walls, or the wooden desks. It's the people surrounding you. The countless communities of acquaintances, friends, teachers, family, and their influence cannot be quantified. You break it, you bought it, but no one wants to take responsibility for who they've broken.
Okay, our next submission is again from Noble Leadership Academy.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Kamil Sakir, and today I will be presenting my poem called The Apocalypse. Okay, I guess I'll begin now. Let me tell you about the day the world bled. Hell risen over, up came the undead. The humans gave up, yeah, they all fled. No longer could you see a person who bleeds red. Now, let me tell you about a man who survived this apocalypse, left with nothing but the will to try and feel indifference, all alone, with the regret of not picking up his phone, with the regret of not saying I love you more, with the regret of not being a better father to his daughter. As he sat there living off canned foods and recycled fodder, he was stuck living in the past that he couldn't get over. Oh, barbecues that he watched his neighbors throw. All of his daughter's dances where he decided not to show. All of the people that he could have known. The regret that he didn't though. Oh, as he sat there over the ashes and debris that probably once was owned by a nice family that he will never meet. As he stands up and sees a zombie that he wishes entirely that he could recognize. Maybe if he just knew its eyes, maybe he wouldn't be so alone. Maybe these bodies in the wasteland would mean more to him than just a pile of bones. But no, he thought to himself, maybe he wasn't trying to be indifferent. Maybe he was resistant. No, had immunity to the struggles of his life. Because what's changed? He still isn't involved in a community. He still reheats food just like he did when he missed dinner. He still feels that in his inner self, he is still alone. Still had no place to call home. See, he may have had a house, he may have had a spouse, but he didn't have a family. So he's stuck living regret worse than the calamity that he lived. Because no zombie, no rubble is worse than the unhealing wound that he had that could only have been healed by being a neighbor and a dad. Assalamu alaikum, my name is Kamil Sakir.
Okay, our next submission is from Woodbridge Academy. The audio for this also might be a little low. Just adjust your volume as needed. 2021 Miss NJ Spoken Word Submission. An Ode to 2020. Hatred is like a tumor in the body of America, constantly growing, expanding, poisoning the American heart and mind. We should stand for equality for all of mankind. All of the poison that we had no choice in taking, it was a bitter pill that we had to swallow. Racism, sectarianism, elitism. 1 year into a global pandemic, a mask mandate, hand sanitizer, 6 feet apart, but in our hearts, we were scared. Black Lives Matter. Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, too many lives cut short, too many reports of Black people dying due to police brutality. This past year has caused us to reevaluate and recalculate our beliefs. This is the year that we open our eyes and recognize our ignorance. This is the year that we educate ourselves. This is the year that we go past our biases. This is the year that we show that hate has no home here. Society is flawed, but we are a society. We have the power to make a change, make intersectionality a reality, amplify the voices of the unheard. Best said by Sagan. Silence in the face of injustice is complicity with the oppressor. In our darkest hour, we find light and love. Love for our friends and families, love for our communities, and love for strangers. We mourn our dead. We honor their lives by wearing masks. Thank you to the healthcare professionals who healed the sick. Thank you to the essential workers who support a society when we could not support ourselves. Thank you to the mothers who watched our young. Through the trials and tribulations we face as a nation, we will rise. Thank you so much for listening to my submission. Okay, our next submission is from Nurul Iman School.
Assalamu alaikum. Today, for Miss 2021 Spoken Word, I'm going to be performing a piece I wrote called Unison. In Surah Hujurat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا. O mankind, indeed we have created you from a male and a female and made you into peoples and tribes so that you may get to know one another. The following is an account of my relationship with my community since I moved here in 2006. 4 years old, 2008, I enter a classroom for the first time in my life. As I cry for my mother, a girl I've never met invites me to play with her. Still upset and confused, I say sure, unaware that I would make memories in that building and meet people that would stick with me forever. 6 years old, 2010. First grade was a year full of learning, to say the least. My first memory of the masjid, my first time going to Jumma, I really don't remember many specifics, but I remember this feeling, a feeling of wonder and awe every time I would visit the mosque. 10 years old, 2014. At this point, the masjid is like my second home. The nights spent praying, volunteering, and having fun have shown me what it means to be a part of the community. Happily going every day for Dhuhr was the highlight of my day. Looking back, I took it for granted. I wish I could have just stayed. 13 years old, 2018. I spent every day after school at the masjid that year, waiting for my parents to pick me up from school. At the time, I didn't really think this was all that cool, but simply spending time with my friends at this place of bonding, laughing, crying, complaining, celebrating, all of these different things shaped my relationship with my community. 14 years old, 2019, I spend every night at Tarawih this Ramadan, one of the best months of my life, and yet once again I took it for granted. Praying with my friends, foot to foot, shoulder to shoulder, rushing out for the free food that would wait outside. Going to the mosque that month every day and every night brought me such pride. And when it was over, I remember praying that Ramadan 2020 would come sooner so I could go back. But little did I know. When thinking about 2019, there's a hadith that I look back on a lot. Ibn Makdam Ibn Mahdi reported that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "When a man loves his brother, let him tell him that he loves him." And I wish I told my friends that more often. 15 years old, 2020. The beginning was amazing, spent laughing and learning, but then just the way that all good things come to an end, but then came March 13th, 2020. And suddenly I no longer went to the mosque every day. The khutbahs I learned from each week just completely faded away, replaced by constant cleaning and worry, constant sanitizing and hurry. I missed my community. I wanted all this stress to end. All while I missed my community, little did I know that it was still there. And since then, it's been over a year. We've all been faced with fear and loss and struggle, so much so that we often forget how lucky we are that the community stuck together. Sure, there was no group events in person or no carnival on Eid, but at least we still had Zoom iftars, and we have seen the impact still online we were able to make, whether it simply be fundraising or staying awake in the face of all these recent events all around the world. All this time alone has made it clear the community is still one, whether physically far or near. It doesn't take a pandemic to break us. We all have taken this past year as a time to reflect, some time away from all the noise and distress, and if anything, I'm glad for it made me aware of all the things I took for granted and all the things I cared about, and now we are beginning to heal. I would even argue that the community of mine got stronger these past 53 weeks, for all the difficulty brought out the parts within us that seek compassion and care and empathy and awareness. Like a pearl in the center of an oyster that's revealed as our layers were peeled away. For the past 14 years of my 16 years of existence, I have been a part of this community, experiencing the ups and downs and smiles and frowns. We have grown together, and we will come out of this stronger. For we experience joy together, and we experience loss together, and the beats of our hearts are in unison. Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes our spoken word competition. Now to close off the night, Sabiha, our associate director, will give you some updates about tomorrow.
Assalamualaikum, everybody. Thank you, Ramsha. I hope everybody is doing well. Want to start off by telling all of you guys, good job. We're all so proud of you. Give yourself a huge round of applause. Pat yourself on the back, whether you're an organizer or a competitor. Alhamdulillah, you guys did such a good job at making today go very smoothly. And for those of you who are returning members, you know that this is very, very different from what we're all used to. But everyone did such a good job at coming together and making it fun and exciting and very smooth, alhamdulillah. So just to give you guys a quick overview of what's going to be happening tomorrow, inshallah, we hope to see everybody at 10 a.m. because bracket interviews are going to start. And there's also going to be a really, really great workshop at 10 a.m. I believe it's called Don't Be a Couch Potato, Quarantine Edition, which I'm sure so many of us can benefit from. So I encourage all of you guys to join us. Even if you're not competing, join us in the workshop because it's going to be super beneficial. And then throughout the rest of the day, we're going to continue having bracket competitions. And then we're going to end off with the moment that we all wait for, award ceremony, inshallah. So again, good job, everyone. You guys made it through day one, and we're super excited to see you all tomorrow.